What if the most powerful secret society in history vanished overnight, taking with them a fortune that could change the world? For centuries, adventurers, historians, and dreamers have chased whispers of a legendary hoard, a treasure so vast, so potent, that its disappearance sparked one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries. We're talking about more than just gold and jewels. We're talking about ancient relics, forgotten knowledge, and artifacts that could rewrite everything we know. The story of the Knights Templar and their lost treasure isn't just a tale of riches. It's a deep dive into betrayal, faith, and the enduring power of a secret that has haunted humanity for nearly 700 years. Prepare to journey into the shadowy corridors of history, where fact blurs with legend, and the quest for the ultimate prize continues to this very day. Imagine the year 1018. Europe is still reeling from the First Crusade. A band of 9 French knights, led by a man named Hugues de Payens, steps forward with a bold, almost unbelievable idea. They would protect Christian pilgrims traveling to the Holy Land. They called themselves the Poor Fellow Soldiers of Christ and of the Temple of Solomon, eventually known simply as the Knights Templar. Their initial goal was noble, even heroic, but what unfolded was a story of power, wealth, and a mystery that would baffle generations. From these humble beginnings, operating out of a wing of the royal palace on Jerusalem's Temple Mount, they swiftly became one of the most formidable forces in the Western world. Their rise was meteoric. With the blessing of the church and their reputation as fierce, devout warriors, donations poured in. Kings, nobles, and common folk gave them land, money, and men. But it wasn't just donations that made them rich. The Templars were incredibly shrewd businessmen, centuries ahead of their time. They created what many historians consider the first international banking system. Pilgrims could deposit money in one Templar house in Europe and withdraw it from another in the Holy Land, avoiding the dangers of carrying cash on long journeys. This check system, called a bill of exchange, made them indispensable. They owned vast networks of farms, vineyards, and mills. They built castles and cathedrals. They loaned money to kings, even Pope Clement V himself. At their peak, they controlled wealth equivalent to billions in today's currency, with fleets of ships, a huge army, and immense landholdings across Europe. They were a sovereign power in all but name, answering only to the Pope. This astonishing wealth, however, would become a double-edged sword, attracting not just reverence, but also dangerous envy, ultimately sealing their fate and paving the way for their fabled treasure to vanish into thin air. But what exactly was this treasure? Was it just piles of gold coins and silver chalices, glittering jewels, and ancient texts? Or was there something far more profound? Something that transcended mere monetary value? Many believe the Templar treasure wasn't just about riches, but about ancient secrets, powerful artifacts they supposedly unearthed during their early years. Remember where they set up shop in Jerusalem, the Temple Mount, the very site where King Solomon's temple once stood. For years, these 9 original knights lived in relative obscurity there, supposedly guarding pilgrims. But what if they weren't just guarding pilgrims? What if they were digging? What if they were searching for something specific? Imagine them working under the very foundations of what was once the holiest site in the ancient world, a place steeped in biblical lore and forgotten knowledge. The legends whisper that they found something Not just old pottery shards, but items of immense power and spiritual significance. The speculation has run wild for centuries, captivating imaginations across the globe. Could they have found the Ark of the Covenant, the golden chest said to contain the original stone tablets of the Ten Commandments, imbued with the very presence of God? Imagine the power that would bestow upon its keepers. Or perhaps they discovered the Holy Grail, not just a cup from the Last Supper as often depicted, but something far more esoteric, a lineage, a secret teaching, or a relic that promised eternal life or profound wisdom. Other theories suggest they found scrolls containing hidden gospels, forbidden knowledge about Jesus, or even the true history of mankind. These weren't items that could be measured in gold. Their value was beyond human comprehension, capable of reshaping empires and challenging the very foundations of established belief. This was a treasure whose worth wasn't just about what it could buy, but what it could reveal. The stage was set for an epic downfall. By the early 14th century, the Templars were incredibly powerful, but also deeply isolated. Their military might in the Holy Land had dwindled after the fall of Acre in 2091, and their headquarters had moved to Paris. They were no longer the indispensable protectors of pilgrims, but a vast, wealthy, almost untouchable organization, largely outside the control of any king. This is where King Philip IV of France, known as Philip the Fair, enters the picture. Philip was in deep financial trouble, constantly at war, and heavily indebted to the Knights Templar. He saw their immense wealth not as a tool for the church, but as a personal piggy bank waiting to be plundered. And he was a ruthless man, not above using extreme measures to get what he wanted. So, in October 1300, Philip launched a coordinated, shocking attack. In a move that still sends shivers down the spine of history buffs, he secretly issued sealed orders to his seneschals across France. On Friday, October 13th, yes, Friday the 13th, at dawn, Templar knights were simultaneously arrested throughout France. The charges were outlandish, almost unbelievable. Heresy, idolatry, sodomy, spitting on the cross, worshiping a mysterious idol called Baphomet. These were not minor accusations. These were capital crimes designed to shock and horrify the public, making the Templars seem like enemies of God and man. The arrests were followed by brutal interrogations. Imagine being dragged from your bed, accused of unspeakable crimes against your faith, then subjected to the horrors of the medieval torture chamber. Knights, men who had faced Saracen swords without flinching, were put on the rack, had their feet roasted over fires, and were subjected to other unspeakable torments. Under such duress, many confessed to anything their torturers demanded, just to make the pain stop. These false confessions were then used as proof to justify Philip's actions. Pope Clement V, initially hesitant and even outraged by Philip's unilateral action, was eventually pressured and intimidated into suppressing the order officially in 1310, effectively dissolving the powerful Knights Templar forever. But here's the kicker, the ultimate unsolved puzzle. When Philip's men stormed the Templar strongholds, expecting to seize their vast treasury, they found very little. The vaults in Paris, the heart of their financial empire, were virtually empty. The vast hoards of gold, silver, precious jewels, and more importantly, the rumored ancient artifacts, the Ark, the Grail, the secret texts, were nowhere to be found. It was as if they had simply vanished into thin air. One day, the Templars were the wealthiest organization in Europe. The next, their treasure was gone. This wasn't a petty theft. This was the disappearance of a fortune that would make most modern billionaires look poor. How could such a massive amount of wealth and potentially world-changing relics simply disappear without a trace? The empty coffers ignited a furious search and centuries of wild speculation, feeding the legend of the lost Templar treasure that continues to captivate us today. For centuries, adventurers, historians, and conspiracy theorists have been trying to answer that impossible question. Where did it all go? The silence of the empty vaults at the temple in Paris sparked countless theories, each more intriguing than the last. Some believe the Templars, sensing trouble brewing, got a heads up, perhaps from sympathizers within the French court, or even from the Pope himself, who, despite eventually bowing to Philip's will, may have given them a subtle warning. The theory goes that on the night before the infamous Friday the 13th arrests, a small fleet of Templar ships slipped out of La Rochelle, their main port on the Atlantic coast of France. These ships, supposedly loaded with the Order's most valuable possessions, sailed off into the darkness, their destination a secret known only to a trusted few. Where did they go? No one knows for sure, but the idea of a clandestine maritime escape is incredibly compelling. Other theories suggest the treasure wasn't moved far at all, but rather hidden in plain sight, or deep underground. The Templars were master builders, constructing intricate castles, churches, and commanderies across Europe. Many of these structures had secret passages, hidden chambers, and elaborate tunnel systems. Could the treasure have been broken up and stashed in various Templar strongholds, awaiting a day that never came? Imagine an adventurer today, flashlight in hand, exploring the ancient ruins of a Templar castle, hoping to stumble upon a hidden door leading to a vault filled with forgotten riches. It's the stuff of legends, and many have tried. Digging in the foundations of their old churches, exploring caves, and scanning forgotten maps for clues. Perhaps the most famous theory points north, to Scotland. At the time of the arrests, Scotland was largely independent of papal authority, thanks to King Robert the Bruce, who was often at odds with both the Pope and England. It was a safe haven, a place where Templar knights could escape persecution. Many believe that the ships from La Rochelle sailed to Scotland, bringing with them not only gold and silver, but also the most sacred and secret of their relics. The stories link the treasure to places like Rosslyn Chapel, an incredibly ornate and mysterious chapel built centuries later, supposedly by descendants of Templar families. Its intricate carvings are said to hold clues, encrypted messages pointing to a hidden crypt beneath its floors, containing the ultimate Templar secret. While archaeologists have explored the chapel, and even under it, the ultimate proof remains elusive, only adding to the mystique. The enduring appeal of the Knights Templar's lost treasure isn't just about the promise of untold wealth or historical revelations. It's a perfect storm of intrigue, a powerful, mysterious brotherhood, betrayed and brought down by greed, and a fortune that simply vanished. This tale captures our imaginations because it combines real historical events with tantalizing unanswered questions, blending faith, adventure, and the ultimate cold case. The idea that something profoundly important, something that could alter our understanding of history or even humanity itself, is still out there, waiting to be found, keeps the legend alive. From blockbuster movies to best-selling novels and video games, the Templar treasure continues to spark new quests, inspiring treasure hunters and armchair historians alike to delve deeper into the shadows of the past. It's a story that reminds us that some mysteries are just too good to ever fully resolve, ensuring the phantom fortune of the Knights Templar will continue to beckon for generations to come. Want to dive deeper into history's greatest unsolved puzzles? Click on the video popping up right now.